Lukashivka village. The dogs lived well. Did you have 5 of them? Yes. One was shot when they just entered. Russians? Yes. When they just entered. They also damaged my car. Were you inside? Yes. I was about to go outside to feed the livestock, and they started entering. A car, then an armored troops carrier. I asked them to wait till I moved the car aside, but the car was already shot. 3 radiators and the wheel were damaged. I started driving it aside. You can see oil was leaking. So they stopped their cars here, around the house. And then they started shelling. When they just came, they were hiding, but then ours started shelling them. We hid in the cellar. My daughter was pregnant. She had a baby on March 23rd. So we sat there hiding. Sometimes Russians would also come to hide in cellars, because shelling was massive, and they could get hurt too. Were there a lot of Russians? When they were leaving, they said they counted 72 cars. About 200 people stayed in the church. They had an ammunition warehouse there, and they parked their trucks there too. How did they treat people? Were they abusive, like it is said? When they were here, they told us they had been in Syria before. But they were Russians. Down the street there were Burats, and they were tougher. They took my geese to eat at once, half of my chickens, 2 sheep. They were all eaten. They would give us some ration. I told our people not to take it, but we were hungry and children were hungry. Especially if there was a chocolate in the ration, children wanted it. Then they started taking cows from the farm. Your daughter has just had a baby. Here are diapers for her baby. Yes, 1 month old, thank you. They are coming tomorrow. So sometimes they would bring us some beef to cook. But they shelled 3 or 4 times a day. I can see what's going on here now. 2 or 3 houses were on fire every day. My neighbor's house burned first. When they started bombing, I was at home. Then I hid in my other neighbor's cellar. They have a big one. And there were over 30 people. At first we only sat. There was no room to lie. I sat for 2 days straight. My legs went numb. Then my knees hurt badly. I didn't eat or drink for 2 days. It was scary to go out. They were shelling non-stop, everywhere. And then when my daughter was having a baby, their 2 doctors came and assisted in childbirth. Our village doctor assisted, and 2 Russian doctors did too. One Russian doctor was experienced, and the other one wasn't. Then they offered to take them to Ivanivka village, because there was a hospital. And they also offered to take her and her baby to St. Petersburg. I refused, of course. Why take them there? Where will I look for them afterwards? So they shelled from a neighbor village, so it wasn't so dangerous there. And we were offered to relocate there to a house There were children's clothes and other stuff. Ukrainian soldiers offered us that. So we were taken there, so missiles flew above our heads. All the explosions happened here mostly. People stayed here till the end, until they were forced to leave. My house survived at first, but then it was ruined with TOS-1. About 3 days before Russians left, there was severe shelling, and TOS-1 was driving away, and there was a tank here, so the driver decided to go round it. So it drew into the house, then it went back and drew in my shed. And he fled from shelling, otherwise he might have been killed. Currently I'm living with my mother-in-law, but I'm going to fix my house. Today some committee members came to assess the damage. Did you register it in Dia app? Yes, I did. This garage is also mine, and it's ruined. I was told I can apply for help with my car and tractor in Dia app, and some money will be compensated. And I'll have to deal with other myself. There was an old lady across the street. She died, and she was buried in the garden because they couldn't even go to the cemetery. After Russians left, her relatives came to rebury her. My mother-in-law's brother was killed too, with splinters on March 9th. And we buried him at the end of the month, after the troops left. Was it possible to leave the village? Were there any green corridors? No one talked about it. In some villages, people say that Russians suggested leaving. No, not here. We were not allowed to walk even 100 meters. We had to wear a red ribbon, and only then they would escort us. We couldn't go anywhere at all. My neighbor told me that we could at least our relatives, but he couldn't even go to the restroom. He would come out, and there was a soldier with an automatic gun. He couldn't even run away. They looked for a spotter all the time. They said that Ukrainians aimed at them well, so there had to be a spotter. A battalion commander said, "Why do they shoot everywhere where I am?" I don't know. I once asked him what kind of gun he had. And he said, "Why do you care?" I was afraid to tell him that I used to be a soldier, because if they spotted a lie, they killed people. I think they found the pictures in the house. I was in the army in Afghanistan in 1984-1986. So I told him that, and he was like, "That was in the USSR, I respect the USSR." He was a fanatic, I guess. So it was really hard here. They would get drunk very often. Very often. There were 2 or 3 young ladies, and they were with them voluntarily. But for them, they would have raped all other women. How long did they stay here? 3 weeks? Yes, 21 days. You know, when I was in Afghanistan, I didn't see such a hell there.